We are not alone. You are watching Contact TV with your hosts, Leslie Mitchell-Clark
and Wes Roberts,
exploring ufology, metaphysics, and beyond with the world's foremost experts. Greetings, citizens of Earth, and probably beyond. Welcome to another episode of Contact TV, and we are now deep into our 13th season, I believe. And I am joined, as always, by my cohort here, Mr. Wes Roberts. Wes, greetings to you. How are you doing?
Greetings, Leslie. Greetings, Lauren. I'm doing well. Really looking forward to this interview.
All right. I see you're slightly to the left of the planet Maldek there, and you're...
I don't like the direct center.
I can see that. Anyway, we are so excited. Our program embraces a lot of modalities and thought systems, this, that, but one wonderful area that we have really not delved into is the area of animal psychics or animal communicators. And we are incredibly blessed to have joining us on this particular episode the wonderful Lauren Bode. And Lauren is, she's been operating in her capacity as an animal communicator for many years. She's been on every conceivable television and radio program that you can think of in Canada and the US, as well as many, many print articles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just am so excited to welcome her and hear about her process. And so without any further rigmarole, I am very happy to welcome to Contact TV for the first time, and not the last, Lauren Bode. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you so much.
We are so happy to have you here. And, both Wes Roberts and our respective partners, we are just, as you well know, animal enthusiasts. You've helped me through a number of situations. And I just was really curious as to how you began in this kind of field of work. Were you psychically aware as a little girl? Is this something that you really just were able to do easily from the time you can first remember?
Yes. I grew up in South America, in Guyana, actually. And there evenings, my dad would have us out in the moonlight nights. My dad, my mom, we'd all sit outside and we would count the stars and do everything. And I always added my bit, but I was tiny. So, I went unnoticed. And later on, my dad would say to me, "What's that cow saying? What's that horse saying?" And I would tell him. And he would ask me questions like, how should I put it? He would ask me like, "How do you know what he's saying?" Or "How do you know?" And I would tell him that he told me because I couldn't express myself. But of course, from that point to where I am now, it took a long, winding road. But anyhow, what I am is a telepathic communicator. And what I do, I pick up their thoughts and I give them my thoughts. And that's how we communicate. This is how I communicate with them. And I must say, I am blessed to be able to do this because in no uncertain terms, I have helped so many animals and their humans. And for me, it is certainly a blessing to be able to do that. Yeah.
Indeed. And what a noble calling. Absolutely. I was wondering, Lauren, when you are communicating, speaking with an animal, for lack of a better term,
yeah,
do you communicate with them visually? Is it a series of visual images, or do they communicate in some kind of linguistic way?
Yes, it differs. First, I connect with them, and to get that connection, I use, if I'm doing it remotely, I use a photograph of the animal, and I connect with them that way. And I use the photograph to make sure it's the same animal, because lots of times another animal. There are different animals who look alike. So I try to make sure it's that animal I'm speaking to. And then I ask it a series of questions from my thoughts to their thoughts. And sometimes they would give me a picture if they're trying to show me exactly what it is they're trying to convey. If it's a problem with their bodies, they would give me the pain in my body. I would ask them to give me a smidgen of the pain, and they would. For example, if a horse had a problem with its right hock, he would show me, it would come to my left leg sometimes. Because it's a mirror image I'm looking at. And then I will have to ask them to show me which one by doing something different. And they would put their heads to their knees, their hocks, or something like that. And that's how I would understand, yes, okay, it's there. If they've got a problem with where they're living, their home life or so, it's very different. Talking about a dog now, let's say, or a kitty cat, it's very different because there would be they would have a sense of insecurity that they would convey to me, and I would pick that up. To tell you the honest truth, I don't know if what I do can be correctly explained, but I'll try my darnest. Yeah. So with an animal, let's say, for example, if a dog has been abused in some way, he would give me that a sick feeling I would get. And at the beginning, I didn't understand what it was. And so later on, by come in contact with it many times, I understood what it was. But at the beginning, it was kind of foreign for me to understand what the experience was. Yeah. Did I answer the question, or I straight off?
You did. No, you absolutely did, because it is a combination of the telecommunication is instantaneous, and it's a combination of different types of systems. I'm sure they use linguistic stuff as much as they can, but there's going to be a limit to that.
Yes.
I'll just have one more question before I let Wes get in there. I can see he's chomping at the bit, as we say.
Yeah.
I'm an animal. I have a bit.
That's true. Is there a type of a variety of animal that is more easy to communicate with than others?
Yes.
For instance, yes, good. That's
yes. Domesticated animals are easier to communicate with because we use verbal communications. We use signs for them, which is ridiculous, because obviously if they're looking at us to understand, try and read our lips and see what we're saying. Because they need to learn certain words like come and go, different things like that. Dogs need to stop doing that, stop barking. But usually our voices, that's another topic. But anyhow, getting back to what I was saying, they understand humans because they have been domesticated for centuries. This is dogs and cats and horses, for example. So if we swear at a horse continually or at a dog, he will give me those words, not knowing what it is, but he will pepper his sentences with those words for me. Yeah.
I see.
But if I'm speaking with a coyote, for example, if I'm asking a coyote not to come so close to our properties, not mine, but other people's properties, because the humans are scared, because we hear such gruesome stories about coyotes and foxes and all these animals, because we don't know them. They're not domesticated, so we're afraid of it. Whatever we don't really know, we're afraid of. Yeah. So I would tell them, I would have to show them, I would do it. I would speak with them verbally. I would speak with them telepathically. I would show them pictures in my mind. I would tell them everything. But with the coyotes, there's a different matter, because usually there's one coyote that's the leader of the pack. Yeah. And he will have a distance from the human properties because he knows the dangers and he keeps the others behind him. But when that old coyote dies and the young buck takes over, he generally moves in a foot further or 2 feet further. It's like, I'm going to test this and see if what you're saying is true. So as a result of that, sometimes they do get caught up with humans and they do get killed sometimes for absolutely no reason. It's just a territorial problem, but it's not known to them, except the buck just wants to show off the young buck. Yeah. So that way, yes, it's different. Communicating with an animal outdoors is different. Or who has never communicated with a human before. That's difficult because there's so many different ways I have to communicate with them to make them understand what I'm saying. Whereas with one of our domesticated animal, I can speak with them, or, if a cow is saying, well, I have problems with my teeth, and it's hurting very badly or so, they would kind of give me a tinge in my
Yeah.
thing to talk about.
Well, what else could they do? What else can they do? They and we I think we have to keep in mind that the animals with relationships with each other are operating on the telepathic level at all times.
Yes.
That's how they roll. So
yes. But the dogs, like the domesticated ones, we have taught them words, and we've taught them games, and we've taught them a number of things. Like we've taught horses how to perform and everything else, and so with our domesticated animals, they know more words than, let's say, a cow, because we let the cows out in the morning. All day they're outside until they come back inside, and they do lie down when they know the rain is coming, because in case of lightning or so, they're lower to the ground, right? Because of the elements, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think I better stop talking, right? I talk a lot.
No, you carry on. And Wes, I can see you have something you want to ask there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I already have 3 questions, but
go ahead.
I'm just listening to you, Lauren, and thinking, well, that's all I want to do. I don't want to be intelligent right now. I just want to hear what you have to say. But so I've got 2 or 3 questions, and I want to get back to telepathy, because it's something I've had the gift in a small way all my life. And I had to explain to a person recently, well, how does an alien life form communicate with me? And they never talk to me.
No.
It's all communicated telepathically. And so then the question comes up in my own mind, well, how is it possible that this bridge, this huge gap in our languages, our forms of languages, translate so smoothly in telepathy that I know what they're saying? And so I wonder how that works with you and animals. How is it that you know?
Well, we have a lot of thoughts in our head. We have 50,000 thoughts in our head at any given time, and none of it belongs to us. Very, very few. It's what our parents have told us, teachers have told us, our workers have told us, everyone else. We picked it up from the TV and everything. The animals are not looking at TV. The only time they're listening to the humans is get outside. Don't do that. Words like normal, words that we're trying to convey to them not to do something that we don't expect them to do. Yeah. But to get to your aliens thing, and I do believe in aliens, but that's another topic. But telepathically, our gut feeling that we get sometimes when something happens and we say to ourselves, I knew that was going to happen. That is our pure energy inside of us speaking. Yeah. Or telepathy, or whatever. What else could we call it? It's not our thoughts. The gut feeling is our psyche. It's everything that no one has touched, because that's our true self.
I really loved that explanation, because my partner is Spanish, and we'll know what each other are thinking. And I'll sometimes say, how did you know what I was thinking? And did it come to you in English or Spanish? And it doesn't matter.
Yes.
English or Spanish doesn't count then.
No, the language is just it's just flying in the air. All the words are flying in the air. It's like sometimes people ask me to speak to their babies.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that because sometimes the situation warrants it. Yeah. Yeah. And so and they can't speak.
No.
And they haven't been here that long, but they do give their moms messages from inside. Yeah.
I think that that's absolutely true.
And it's beautiful.
I think that yeah. I think I had a lot of communication with my babies when I was carrying them. I think that's really true. Lauren, I'm wondering if now I've seen many pictures of you on your wonderful website involving horses, and ironically, I'm a consultant with a psychology firm that uses horses as therapy animals. And I'm wondering, is there a specific aspect of both horses and dogs? I think they are the primary therapy animals. Is there a reason for that?
Yes, there is, but it's a long explanation. I'll try to cut it down shorter. So with horses are huge. We're tiny in relation to a horse, and horses give us something that when we love a horse, we love with our hearts, but our hearts has to send a message to our brain. And once that is accepted, then there is such a powerful connection with a horse. Yeah. Dog, but mostly with horses. And that's how it happens, because sometimes people, especially teenagers, they really don't understand how come they love a horse as they do. Yeah. They do. But and they tell you, I love my horse, and they're so expressive with that love. But that is exactly what happens. Their hearts, their brains connect in such a fantastic way, and that's how they fall in love with the horse. And that's how we as humans should fall in love with other humans. Anyhow, okay, what was the question again? Sorry, I told you.
I guess I was wondering a little bit about maybe some similar quality between horses and dogs that lends them to being wonderful therapy animals. And I was also just to say, ironically, in Arabic, any name for a horse is always a something followed by dog. In other words, they call them the big dogs or the god dogs, or the whole Arabic culture, who were the first domesticators, or at least Eurasian domesticators of horses, obviously found some deep connection between dogs and horses.
Yeah, well, the connection is the horse. Like I said, I was saying the horse is a huge animal, and they understand us as humans. They don't think of themselves as huge. They think of that connection, because a horse has the same anatomy as we do, and a dog has the same anatomy as we do. A dog will have, if you take a dog to a hospital, a nursing home, a dog knows when its owner is ill, as does a horse. Yeah. And sometimes they do tell me as well, but they lend themselves best because they have been domesticated the longest. And we control every move that a dog does out of its environment and within its own environment. We do the same thing with the horses as well. And so when we take a horse or a dog from its known environment and without training that animal and take them into a situation where they have to help someone, they feel that energy, that they feel what it is that person needs. Yeah. So I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
So,
Yeah.
so they are really, and we know this about doggies, anybody who's, they are empathetic beings.
Yes. Yes.
By
They're
nature.
Yes.
They are empathetic beings by nature.
Exactly. And a cat would do the same thing, but it has to know its owner for a long time. But you can't take a cat to a hospital or a nursing home or wherever. The cat wants nothing to do with that. He has enough of that at home because he's a healer in his own home. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But cats are misunderstood. We have to understand them a bit better to understand how that connection is not there with them, with everyone. But somehow they comfort us, their owners. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it wouldn't be inappropriate for me to mention that, you know, Lauren has helped me through many situations, but a fairly recent one is when our beloved cat, Hazel, who only wanted to kill mice. That's basically all she wanted to do. She just left us, and I believe, you know, became feral. But as Lauren was trying to communicate with her, like the wilder she got, you know, the more time that had passed, the more into that life she was, I believe the more difficult it was to get what we would call verbal messages.
Yeah. Yes. Because they also stray very far. They don't hang around. They could walk for miles because they have 4 legs. We only have 2 and we tire out. Yeah. But they have 4 legs and they go far away. And once they're outside, it takes maybe 5-6 days and they become feral.
Yeah, it's not long. It's not long. Whereas doggies, I believe their human connection is stronger. And they will want to come home. You know, they will try to get home.
Yes,
you know.
yes. And they often do. And that's what I tell a lot of people. When your dog, if you lose your dog, heaven forbid, you don't get a bunch of your friends and everybody goes and shouts for the dog's name. Because if you come and shout my dog name, he wouldn't come to you. So why am I going to shout for your dog? I can help you. I can accompany you. I can give you moral support, but I'm not going to call your dog, right? So let's imagine 10 people with 10 different voices are calling your dog. Who's your dog going to go to? He's going to hide further. Even you wouldn't be able to find him.
Indeed.
Oh, this is rock solid. Common sense. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but I've never heard some of these things before.
Okay.
So
Did
that's amazing.
Did you have a question, Wes?
Yeah. A stupid, very short story. I'll shorten it even more. And I think, Lauren, you'll think, well, you're an idiot, and that's okay if you think that. I'm good with this. So I have an affinity with certain kinds of creatures, like insects. Not all. I don't want a centipede running around in my hair, but there are other kinds of insects I have an affinity to. So many years ago, I was at a vivarium with my ex, and I have an affinity, a connection with scorpions. And I won't go into the long story why that is, but I wanted them to take a scorpion out of its tank and put it on my arm. And they did. And I wasn't afraid. I was nervous, but I felt an affinity with this creature. So I went back to a dinner that night, and I was talking to some other people that said, you're an idiot, because this is a wild creature that doesn't care who or what you are. And I was arguing with this person saying, I don't think that's true. So I'd love your opinion on that, if there's a connection between us and potentially not animals, but like other life forms like insects.
Yes, I agree. And I could tell you one of my own stories if you're willing to listen.
Please.
I had a snake in my garage. I didn't know that she was there, and she was having her babies, and she asked my permission to have her babies. And I told her it was okay. No one will disturb her. I closed the garage door so no one would come into the garage. But I didn't know there was a hole underneath by the garage. It's an old garage.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in there and I was looking to see if she was okay. And she had these beautiful eyes. Oh my God. If you could only have seen her eyes, how beautiful they were. And she told me that the very bad animal took them. And I never knew that there was a stray cat there. I didn't know that there was a stray cat until I saw this big, fat, stray cat. And then a couple of days ago, and then I understood what she was saying. So fast forward now, she's now permanent in my life, in my backyard. So fast forward 6 months, and I get someone to come in to give me a price on flooring. So he came in to measure the floors. And when he was leaving, I walked him out to the front and he said to me, by the way, I saw someone ran over a snake at your driveway. And I didn't tell him this, but I'll tell you this, okay? So that same morning, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, I woke up and I opened my closet and I was trying on my clothes. It wasn't anything that I had bought new or anything. I was simply opened my closet and I was trying on all my clothes. Yeah. For absolutely no reason. But I couldn't tell the guy that. So I understood. Yeah. So that's my story. I mean, I'm way out there, right?
Wow. Okay.
Thank you for sharing, because I've been curious about this for 2 or 3 decades.
So an animal does not have to be a mammal or I mean, there are people, there are entomologists, people who are completely obsessed with bugs and communicate with them. I'm absolutely sure of it.
I wonder about that.
Yeah. What was Lauren, what was maybe the most unusual animal, or one of the most unusual animals aside from the snake, that you were ever either asked to consult with or just did naturally?
So I grew up with a lot of animals, with jaguars, with water dogs. I told you I grew up in South America, with snakes, with all sorts of animals. But I've traveled quite a lot. I've communicated with elephants. I was at a zoo in South America many years ago, and this elephant told me that she had a nail in her hoof. Oh. And so I went to the zoo keeper and I said, listen, that elephant has a nail in its hoof. And he said, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? She just likes to keep that hoof up. And I said, let me speak to your boss. Who's your boss? Let me speak to your boss. And he was like, the boss is not here. I said, listen, call someone else. I have to speak to somebody. Let me speak to the vet. So finally, I get to speak to the boss. He came and I said to him that elephant has a nail in its hoof. And true enough, they took that nail out.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they didn't. The vet had to come. It was surgery. It was terrible.
I bet it was awful. And it was awful.
Yeah.
One of the most intense telepathic experiences I ever had was with an elephant. Oddly, I was in Tokyo. I've traveled all over the place, and I went to the Tokyo Zoo, and without pointing any fingers, different cultures have different ideas about what is humane with animals, and I'm afraid in Asia, Japan, Korea, it's pretty tough, pretty tough for animals. So they had they had one elephant, and this elephant was in a shed that was hardly an inch above its head, and it had a chain around one leg. And I felt such a wave of sadness that I almost fainted. I almost lost consciousness because it was so intense. And later I wrote an article about it, and I hope I caused some heat at the Tokyo Zoo. But it was one of the strongest telepathic messages of grief and sorrow and abuse that I have ever felt.
Well, I've also communicated with a gorilla in Thailand. Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, that's practically communicating with a human being, right? They are they're very knowledgeable, and they're very I like to say they're like my idea of philosophers. They look at us, at what we're doing, and they look at us and they try to imagine what it is exactly we want to do when we're doing it. And it's very interesting how I didn't ask him, people think that you would ask a gorilla, well, are you homesick for the trees or something? First of all, he doesn't understand what that is. And he may have been there since he was a baby. So he knows, he doesn't understand trees, things like that. He's been in captivity forever. Huh? So in the Galapagos too, I spoke to one of the huge turtles there, mammoth one, hundreds of years old. Yeah. And that was also interesting because people like to stand on him to take a picture and, nonsense like that. And what else? I spoke to a stingray. I have communicated with gorillas and Titicabezo blanca. Those are the little marmoset monkeys from South America. And what else did I speak with? Oh, lots. All camels.
Camels.
Giraffes. Water dogs from South America. Leopards. Parrots. Macaws. You can run the whole gamut. I like speaking with swans. I like speaking with ducks because sometimes they have fungus or fungi on their feet and no one notices or no one knows because they're continually in the water. And sometimes they do need to come out, but whenever they come out, the humans surround them, so they run back in the water. Little things like that. Macaws are very nice to communicate. They like to parrot what we say to them. They like to regurgitate it because it makes us laugh. And when we laugh, we let out our tension, and they get that. Yeah. And cows I love to speak with. I had a cow myself. One of my animals was a cow. And and what else did I have? Oh, flamingos I've talked to. Flamingos are very strange in that when we take them out, there's so many different types of flamingos. There are the Chilean flamingos, and then there are the African flamingos. So when we take them out of their environment and put them into another one, it is scary for them, but we never think of it like that. It's like, we never think of, although for us humans, we are totally stressed out if we have to move from one place to another, but we take these animals out of their natural habitat and we expect them to obey us at every step of the way. And without giving them the security of, making them feel as if they belong now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the animal world is very interesting. The last documentary I filmed, I didn't enjoy it because they were asking, it was Trump, during Trump's reign.
Ew.
And
just ew. Yeah.
And these people were asking me really silly questions. Like they were asking me if this animal think of the current
Lord.
And then wanted to know all sorts of things peculiar like that. So I didn't know I was still mic'd. And so I said to myself, I like to talk to myself a lot. So I said to myself, this is utter nonsense. I feel like such an idiot asking the animals these questions. Yeah.
How ridiculous could that be? Well, yeah. I have a very a kind of an unusual question, but I think it's something that you're even going to, I think it's something you will have an interesting answer to. Now, we have had on the show, a number of people who have had experiences with what we would call Sasquatch or the Yeti, et cetera, et cetera. One gentleman in particular, Mike Patterson, who is the head of Sasquatch Ontario, and his whole approach or his whole system of contacting these very shy, I think maybe interdimensional beings, is all telepathic. And we've got these morons, these Trumpist morons out there with guns or whatever they've got, trying to catch the Sasquatch. Of course they're not going to be successful, but yet there seems to be quite a bit of really fascinating contact when other means are used. Now, have you ever been in a rural situation where a primate of that type, if we shouldn't even call them primates, a special being of that type has reached out to you or that you've perceived?
Yes. But I didn't know what to do with it. I was scared. But I've had lots and lots of communications from different animals. They usually are very shy, so I can't even explain. Saying shy is not the right word for them. They're afraid of us.
Yeah,
I would say. It's not that they're shy. I think they're afraid because they communicate with us telepathically, so they know our souls. We don't know our souls, but they know it, and so often for them, when we get disturbed by little things like somebody took my keys or something, we get annoyed like that. And sometimes they are in the near from our being when we are in such a frame of mind, and it brings them distress.
Yeah.
And they would back off from us. Yeah.
Well, as Mike Patterson, one of his closest Sasquatch that he communicates with, will sometimes talk about bad humans, meaning people with bad vibes, people with bad intentions, people who disturb, the cosmos and disturb each other and everyone else. So that is these beings have incredible heightened awareness. And
yes. Because they have no one telling them, what you're saying is nonsense. They have no one telling them those things, right?
Do you think that they have evolved naturally on our Terran planet? My feeling is that they may be the highest natural form of evolution on our Terran planet, whereas we had other interventions, which is why we are what we are. But they say, Mike Patterson's beings say that they have always been here. Yes,
they have. And they're a lot of people see them, but they're scared because they disguise themselves as well. So that's another problem. But there's so many different forms here that we don't see, because I remember going. I was in Winners, and my daughter was waiting for me to come back out because I'm a quick shopper. Go and get and run back out.
Me too. In and out. That's it.
and so she was waiting for me in the car, and she, after I got to the car, she was like, "Where did you go? I saw you. You came out of the store. A car was backing out of a spot, and you disappeared. Where did you go?" And now it's like 15 minutes later, you're here.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know where I was or what had happened. Yeah. But I've had my own experiences with outer body experiences, if you can call it that, because I remember being taken out of my bed one night, and two doctors who looked very, very tired put me on my terrace, which was off my bedroom, and they did surgery on me. And they, and they were so tired. I didn't even know something was wrong with me. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that reminds me of stuff.
Go ahead, Wes. Over to you, Wes.
I'd rather focus on Lauren, but Lauren, I'm happy to talk about this anytime in the future. I'm thinking about, I'm somewhat empathetic. I think I have empathy with people, honest, genuine empathy. So you said early in the show that you ask animals to show you a smidgen of what they're feeling. Did it always work that way for you, or did you get too much of it initially?
No. You can hold them back because they don't just come forward with everything like that. It's a process. Yeah. So you start by communicating with them and listening to them more than talking to them. Like when people say to me, talk to my horse, I don't usually speak to the horse. I let the horse speak to me, because whatever the horse is saying to me, I could translate to them in a couple of minutes. So yeah. So that's how it works. And then if they're having difficulty with pain in their body or something like that, and they cannot pinpoint it themselves, because they would say, they can't say, oh, I have my gallbladder is acting up, or my appendix, or whatever. Right. They don't say things like that. Like they would give me a sharp pain if it's a back problem in my back. Things like that. Or some of them would give me a pain in a tooth, and I would know, because I don't have a pain in my tooth. I don't have a pain in my back. I know it's a foreign pain that I just got. And it just goes away as soon as it comes.
So it never overwhelmed you, like, no. Oh, I'm going to pass out from this.
Oh, no. People
like me and the elephant.
People overwhelm me, not the animals. Oh, people do. Because people try to give you, to test you all the time and give you feelings, but people are the ones who try to overwhelm you. They do it with everyone, with each other too. But no, the animals are very graceful. They are so fantastic. And I've heard people say, this animal is a brute, or this animal is not good. But I have found through my own experiences that when an animal is bad, especially a dog, if a dog is biting or is angry, constantly barking, stuff like that, most times it's because it's hurting inside. Yeah. And you have to find the source of its pain, and then it's okay, it's fine. Or a horse. Some horses are imported from different countries, and they understand certain commands apart from the squeezing of the leg and the kicking of the heels in their stomachs. They understand different commands as well, but in a different tone, because they don't work with languages. They work with sounds. So it's like if you are learning a different language, like different language go tung, 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 some languages go like that, and some languages just go every language works differently to our ears. And so that's how it works with them.
Fascinating. Lauren, just going back for a moment to the therapy animals, what do you think is there have been some incredible results, unbelievably beneficial results in working for perhaps people on the autism scale, all kinds of issues to do with kids. What is it about horses and dogs that either stimulates part of their brain, or what do you think is going on?
Remember I told you it's the heart. The heart connects to the brain. And that's how they get this feeling, and the animal connects to them as well. So the animal reinforces it, because think about it. If someone is lying in bed all the time and they're just thinking, after a while, they're not thinking anymore. They don't want to think anymore. They have nothing to think about. Nothing is bothering them anymore, just pain. And then a beautiful animal comes and their heart opens and their minds, and they connect with that animal. It's beautiful because for autistic children or things like or humans with Alzheimer's, for example, they've exhausted all the thoughts in their head and everything else, and then an animal come when they're just about coherent, and that's when they connect the heart and the brain. And it's beautiful to watch, but I know no other explanation but that, because I've seen it myself. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, I guess we could say that it somehow stimulates the heart chakra. If you wanted to put a metaphysical twist on it, whatever it is, it opens up that door of, feeling and is able to access that person where other methods have not worked.
That's the brain and the heart.
Through the heart. So that makes an awful lot of sense.
Because don't forget, some of the people not everyone is equal, but some of the people in the hospital have never, ever felt love before. Even though it's tragic to say something like that, they have not. No one has ever been kind to them or anything like that. It works with horses and it works with dogs, best of all. And I used to give talks at the St. John's Ambulance dog guides there years ago. And they had some amazing stories of the dogs and what they did with humans. It was very lovely. And I remember giving a talk once, and I said, the animals understand us because they live with us, and the generations pass on their knowledge. So it's a generational thing. Like a horse, the mom of a horse will impart her knowledge to her baby, which is the horse, the foal, whatever. And so he comes into this world with a bit more knowledge, and they're all coming forward with a bit more knowledge, and the dogs as well. So when when a dog, one of the guys, he said to me, you know what, my daughter brings her dog to my place every single day. And every day I say, why are you bringing this dog? I don't want her here. And he left the meeting. So I was kind of thinking, what did I say to upset him? You know, I'm always talking, right? So he apologized. He came back and he said I was crying. I was in tears because I tell this dog the same thing every single day.
And the dog comes back. Well, there you go. They are incredible beings. And let's see, what else? Wes, did you have a question for Lauren?
Just to remind us all that we have 5-7 minutes left or something like that. And I just wanted the last thing I want to say to Lauren before she tells us how we can get a hold of her stuff, how we can find her, how I can get a signed copy of her book, things like this. But anyway, just to say that you're in this such a unique, lovely position. I would be overwhelmed with emotions, not just from the animals, but from their humans as well, because you've helped and eased the pain of so many. I'd be crying every other hour.
Well, yes, but when the owners call me for different topics and different things, I can't cry. I have to listen.
There's a professional, you have somehow been able to find a professional distance to be able to help, which many of us who are not meant to do this as a path would not be able to pull together. But you came in, my feeling is you came in like that. This is your path.
Fantastic.
This is your soul agreement. You came in with these elevated skills for this type of communication. And with that being said, you were also given the ability to be able to keep a professional distance. That's the only way you can help.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
I believe that. That's the only way. Like a doctor, if every medical person was dragged down by what they saw, they would be useless. And it's exactly the same for you, Lauren. It's exactly the same, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the animals, it's not only the owners who are grateful, it's the animals who are as well. And for that, I am very grateful that I do what I do, because it's brought me a sense of peace. But every day before I start my day, I chant.
Mhm.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I think that's very important for your own mind, body, brain, heart
Yes.
connection, whether it's a form of meditation. I've been a transcendental meditator for 45 years. I know Wes does his thing too. So
Yeah.
I think I think whatever discipline anyone chooses, it's very important to take that time for your spiritual well-being,
Yes.
to connect with the grid, to plug into the grid, if
Yes.
you will. You know.
Yes.
So please, Lauren, tell us about how people can get your books, go to your website, all the other good things that they'll want to know.
Okay. My website is animaltalk.ca, like www. And my phone number is there as well, 905-751-1280. My book, I am at around chapter 30 now, and I will hopefully have it published before year end.
Oh, excellent.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we would love to have you come back to promote and talk about your book, or, that would be magnificent if you'd care to do that. Get the word out about that would be fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Lauren Bode, for the wonderful work that you do, for the insight that you've shown not only Wes and myself, but our many listeners and viewers, and just every blessing to you and in the wonderful work that you do. And we will see you soon when your book comes out. And Wes, what is it we always say before we end our show? We are not alone.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you from Contact
Lauren.
TV.
That was wonderful.
Thank you, Lauren Bode. Bye-bye now. Bye. Thank you for watching Contact TV.
We would like to thank our generous sponsors, Lightwork Hypnosis, UFOria and the UFOria Chronicles, Earth Mystery News, Conspiracy Culture Books, MUFON Canada, Free Experiencers, the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters, and Variety Store Productions.
For guest booking information, please email Wes Roberts at producer@contacttv.ca. And don't forget to join us on Facebook and Twitter.